Sahana bhavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so as what I did in the last session is to introduce the fourth step, which is moving from meditation to contemplation, and making you see that it's not a simple fourth step, it's a major shift from action, for which leads to purification of the mind, to pramana, which gives you the knowledge. So that is a very important shift. And somebody was asking me, and that in one meditation, suppose you are sitting, can you move from meditation to contemplation? Yes, you can do that, right? It's not like one session is only meditation. You can first calm down, you can bring some mantra, you can talk to yourself about some issue that you may be facing that day or recently. You can resolve it, and you can then also move to meditation, contemplation, right? In one session you can do that. Now, so now what I will do is and contemplation is about not anything to do with individuality. It is to seeing yourself as Brahman, because that is what Shruti wants to see you, make you see, right? So any contemplation about you being existence, which is of the nature of awareness, which is free from any boundaries, this is your essential reality. So different aspects of the teaching you can bring to your mind. Because sometimes the teaching talks about who you are, sometimes the teaching starts with what is the nature of Ishvara, sometimes the teaching starts with some basic question and takes you to discover a certain reality about you. So you can bring in the teaching and see yourself, not as you generally see yourself, but through Vedanta as a much bigger reality than an individual. So that means if you're doing that, then it is contemplation. Okay? So you can do that. And what I will now do is ask Surya to give you a glimpse of what does contemplation sound like. Okay? So he will do that, but before that, I wanted to ask Volker he said he will tell some story yesterday. Not in the public. Oh, sorry. Okay, so it was not a story for the public. Okay. Does anybody, I want to wake everyone up so that right after lunch everybody will not go to sleep in contemplation class. So that's why I wanted little activity on your part. Do you have any questions? Do you have anything? So to wake you up a little bit before he does contemplation. After lunch is a very critical time. It's not easy to keep everyone awake.
I have a question.
Yeah, you have a question.
Perhaps it's a good question after dinner, after lunch. Do you think that artificial intelligence will be able to contemplate, to get knowledge?
That's interesting. Artificial intelligence, I don't think it does its own thing. It is not a seeker of knowledge, right? Like a human being is a seeker of knowledge. It wants to engage with the knowledge. It sees the meaning of the word liberation. And you want to free yourself from the sense of smallness. Artificial intelligence doesn't have a self-image. So there is no smallness.
That's right.
That it wants it to free it from, right? And so in that sense, there is no moksha pursuit for artificial intelligence. And that's why there is no seeking for artificial intelligence in that sense, right? And there is no actually the goal of freedom, because it's not bound. It's a machine. It's an incredibly powerful machine. So it doesn't have a human pursuit. It doesn't have moksha pursuit. So that is one side of it. But I have to say this, that I did some programs recently, and people made the recordings, and based on the recording, the artificial intelligence was given the thing to write the transcripts and actually see. One thing is summary, the other thing is almost in form of a book. So it's a text, it's not just tables and it's not just summary. And I tell you, I was so amazed that how accurate everything was. I have never come across a human being who has captured what I wanted to say as accurately as almost everything was captured, and there was hardly any mistake. So in that sense, it was amazing. For me, I was like, wow, I wish I had live students like this who gather everything and they produce and they articulate so well. Sometimes it articulates better than me because I'm thinking and I'm figuring, but it all absorbs everything and puts it all, and it takes seconds to do it. So I'm totally amazed. But at the same time, there is no individual there with a self-identity. And there is no, if you don't have self-identity, you don't need freedom. Right? Only when you have self-identity and you think you are small, then you are looking for solution. So it's a machine which is taking the inputs that you give and is able to make sense of that inputs and it's able to reproduce. Now, the same artificial intelligence, because Surya, I do many classes, and Surya is now, we've started a new project of using artificial intelligence to maybe create some books or some material for people to study, right? So, Surya has to give, when we give the transcripts, Surya has to give very specific instructions. Because if you don't give instructions, it will take from somebody who gave some talk, and he put everything together. So Surya has to specifically say, take only from Nima or from Swami Dayananda, don't take anybody else. So these kind of guidelines have to be given, because otherwise it will use all the data that it has and it will put together all kinds of things. So that artificial intelligence, even though it's incredibly powerful, it needs human guidance.
And I would also say, I would say clearly no, artificial intelligence cannot contemplate, because what artificial intelligence does, as you said, it feeds on data.
Yeah.
And I think the process of contemplation is beyond thinking.
Is thinking, exactly.
It's beyond thinking.
It is. Yeah, it is in the sense that, contemplation is your assimilation of knowledge. What artificial intelligence does is, it takes in the data and it reproduces in a sophisticated manner, right?
It's a question if
Sorry?
that is all, or if it can go further
So because,
in a specific way.
So right now it doesn't have, as I told you, a self-image, right? The artificial intelligence doesn't think I am the one who needs to know and I need to contemplate. So that concept doesn't arise because there is no entity.
I hope so. I hope it remains like this stage.
Yeah, Otto.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, you use a lot.
Yeah,
yes.
I make some measures. But what I wanted to say is, you have to prepare with books. You can read as many books about Vedanta as you like, but it never can replace a teacher.
No. True.
And that's the same as artificial intelligence.
Yes. Yes, I think artificial intelligence does a great job of transcribing. It used to take us months to transcribe the talks. Like Swamiji's books are written, somebody is listening to the recording, writing everything, somebody edits. It was such a long process. And if you record and you use a program to convert that recording into text, it will do it in 2 minutes.
That's right.
But it was a good sadhana to do this, and now we just
Yes.
do it
Yeah.
like this.
Correct.
And who is reading all this stuff which is now produced?
See, I mean, it depends. I'm not as black and white about it, because I think, that all these tedious work, when it takes away, then what happens is, if the product, suppose I'm able to produce a brilliant book, suppose, right? Without anybody going through this whole thing of writing each word and, then that final product is much more effective than the whole process. So if you can shorten the process and make it less tedious, and if you can improve the quality of your final product, why not? I mean, this is my take, right? Let's not create any enemies. This is very important, because everything is an opportunity and everything has its potential threat also. But the whole idea in life is to not to fall into, oh God, this is horrible and this is great and this will solve all our problems. Everything is about how do we manage it, right? And it can really make our life so much easier. And so why not use it? But at the same time, right, you can't only leave it to artificial intelligence. There is some need for human input. So somebody was doing this job of doing my Tattva Bodha, and she was telling that she used artificial intelligence. She used Claude, Claude. And initially it sounded fantastic, but then, even though we gave some specifications, take only the material from us, they also like to do something of their own. So they added some other things and things like that. So then we had to kind of edit it out and give further instructions.
You have to
Bring them back.
After 2-3 iterations, if you don't, if you let him free, he will let go. Do something else. It's very funny.
So one day she writes to us and she says, today I gave him a scolding, Claude a scolding. Don't go here, don't go there, stick to this. And then,
And that's exactly why on the website of Anne Vast, vedanta.nl, you had also a question, and then you had an answer that is only based on the real Vedanta documents.
yes.
So it's not connected with the whole internet. And the answer you have explained is right in the sense of Vedanta knowledge.
Yes. Yeah, so it's interesting how many things one can do, but it needs human supervision, because otherwise it can, go anywhere. Okay. Now you're ready for contemplation. Okay. So Surya.